I knew that my story would be better than any fucking bullshit from Will Smith. But I would say Zappa was that. In actual fact, in Dobbstown, Zappa was the thing that blew people up. So trust Hollywood to make it a dumb country singer.
The thing with the Ion is that he's telling us, don't believe these stories they tell you are your origins and history, because these things are being implanted and changed all the time.
Right.
So every time we look back, there is something, a new document,
different,
a new object, a new theory.
New evidence.
New retrievals, new extensions, new compromises. That's the tetrad. So this is a new interpretation of Zappa added to the 195 hours. We've now redid the same shit with a new twist on it.
Well, did you see the post that Joyce put on?
What, Roxy? What'd you say?
You should play Inca Roads.
King Carol.
Inca
Roads.
Inca Roads?
Inca.
Okay, I can do two. What was the one we were going to play? Whipping Post with Bobby Martin. I'll play that. And then Inca Roads. Okay? Because Bobby Martin's voice, you got to hear this guy. Oh, you guys know it. I've played it several times. So is everybody okay with that? And I'll start organizing what we're going to play, the new knowledge you're going to experience if you dare to hang out here. If you dare to stay. Oh, Suzanne was trying to say something to this, Carol. What? Suzanne hasn't finished her turning gold story. What is it, Suzanne? Please, let your
I was just going to bring up a post on Dupes that Joyce put on a video of Alex Jones, and I watched it. Never listened to him before, seen him before, but I bet he's listening to your Paydays, Bob, because some of the stuff he's saying there, he's twisting it around.
No, okay, let me, I would say he's not. I'll tell you what is interesting about him, but before that, who's Joysick? What's Joysick?
Joy Seeker.
Oh, Joy Seeker. He keeps sending me music to play, and I never play it. He must be pissed. He sent me 2 more this week. I just never get around to it, or I don't particularly like it. So I did get your message this week, Joy Seeker, Phil, but I haven't processed them yet. Okay, so Alex Jones in the 90s, based on whatever, he had John Birchers, neo-Nazis, right-wing. He had a lot of, he's from Texas, right? So he had the Protestant anti-World Council churches, anti-Trial Commission Bilderberg. So he was quite informed. And, you know, if you want to see him in 1990, he's in the movie called Slacker. Have you guys ever seen that movie? Made by Richard Linklater? Richard Linklater was an upstart, new filmmaker. And he made this interesting movie about Austin, Texas, where he goes around and meets the different kids, the 20-year-olds of that generation. And one of them is Alex Jones, who was a figure in Austin, Texas, maybe not Dallas, but in Austin, where he's driving through the town, 1990, well before he's known, with a loudspeaker saying his rant about the Bilderbergers and all that. So he knew, he was back there with Bob Marshall in the late 80s. He knew that stuff. So then, he doesn't really get off the ground until 2001, till 9/11. I think that's when people were open to looking at a conspiracy, and then he started to get coverage. So in 2002, Nelson Thal gets in touch with him, and I said this before, we interview him. And because we're on Mojo Radio, big station in New York, there's these commercials. So during the commercials, he's on the line from Austin, Texas or someplace, and I'm in New York. So we're waiting to come back to do the broadcast. So we talked to each other during the commercials, and I didn't know much about him, but we just sort of got acquainted, and I brought I think I was explaining to him that the advertising we were listening to was the Android meme. So what happens when we came back on the air, there was massive panic because me and Alex were talking over the commercials. Nobody knew why, but the wires got screwed up, and we're supposed to be in our own little place talking to each other, waiting for the commercial to be over, but we ruined the commercials, which companies paid big bucks for, and management was really pissed off at Nelson that me and Alex Jones had talked. Well, I'm there analyzing the commercials, explaining how it's the Android meme. So the commercials are on, and I'm going, see, this is the Android meme, selling beer, and this is the homeopathic blah, 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 and look at LaRouche Quadrant. I was doing Bob talk to him, which he had never heard. So we did this show, that got cleared up, and we finished the show. Nelson got in trouble for that, but it wasn't our fault. And so he got very intrigued, so he invited me and Nelson on his show. So a week or two later, we go on his show, and I remember talking to his wife before and getting ready for the show. Then we went on. So eventually I started doing my Android meme talk in more detail. And he kept saying, I know this is very hard to understand with this stupid growly voice. This is very hard for my audience to understand, Bob, but basically what you're saying, Bob, is this. And he would say some ridiculous, non-accurate fucking interpretation of me. You know what I mean? So I tried to correct him a little bit, but I gave up because he couldn't really hear it, he couldn't understand it, and he just kept putting it back into his terms. Now, somewhere in there, I heard him say, maybe I listened to a show or two, this is what he said. He said, the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission, they're elitists, and they have potions, they have medicines that makes them eternal. And he described exactly, and this is 2002, he described exactly what I said in 1995 in Up the Earth for Andy about how we were the Adam and Eve, and we were going to bring the D-cell, and we would be the elite. We could be charged with what he was saying. But I don't think he understood me enough to know that we were the enemy that he was warning the world, and he was partly right that the elites had Carol's mirror. Peggy Mellon came and got the mirror. So the Shah of Iran's sister had mirror. So the elites were hanging out with Bob in the 90s and getting stuff that made them quote eternal as much as we could back then. And Alex Jones knows this. He doesn't know about us, but he's saying the elites have special technologies and they're not going to die, and they're not telling us this. Now, that was the whole reason for ION, was to bring forth Bob and Carolyn to tell the people about what the elites had. So Alex Jones never knew that he, at the beginning, began to talk to the coming elite that would actually not do the elite hidden thing, the Rai principality, and would actually distribute the stuff. That's what he should realize, but I don't think he's getting it. So I don't think there'd be anything. What would he say, Susanna, that would be unique beyond the conspiracy that would sound like he got from ION?
Well, he said that there's things. Hold on, can you hear me? There's things that are being implanted in media, and that changes to our DNA are being made, but it's not to help us. It's to eliminate us. And there's only a very few that are going to remain. So, and he's citing the
points.
alien.
Let me just respond to that. That's enough. Let me respond to that. When Ginny went on, when Ginny tried to advertise the RNA drops back in 2012, 2013, she decided to promote it, and she bought advertising on Alex Jones. And what she got was hate-filled people who didn't even have a computer. They're so paranoid about the Bilderbergers, they would listen to Alex just on the radio. They were into old-fashioned technology. But they accused Ginny of being agents of the devil, of whatever they thought those drops were. So Alex Jones is, what, Carol? The label had the Christian devil on it. So Alex Jones had an audience that was anti-Dobbstown, right? You get that? And he now is part of the elite bullshitters because he is warning people against us, but he's putting the old-fashioned paranoia on us and not recognizing that we're not doing what he's saying. We're doing something better or something he can relax about. And so he never made it. He got a certain level of notoriety, but the guy who made it, Donald Trump, who was interviewed by Alex Jones and was aware of that kind of thinking, it's Trump that accepted the RNA drops and became president. If Alex Jones had accepted our shit back in 2012, 13, 14, he might be president today. But he didn't. He took the jet. Now, some people say he's an agent for the Catholic because he does not tolerate any criticism of the Vatican. That's just one blind spot. He won't go into the Jesuits and that, which is Eric Phelps. And when Eric Phelps came out on our show, I criticized Phelps for using book information. And he got, embarrassed. And that's when Nelson turned against me, because Nelson hates the Vatican, being a Herbert W. Armstrong thing, Nelson thought. So he got mad at me, criticizing Eric Phelps. And then that's when he started saying, you shouldn't be a part of the opening hour. It was over Eric Phelps, who puts out this huge book of the Jesuits did everything the last 200 years. The Kennedy assassination and every other disastrous thing was caused by the Jesuits. And as you see in our new video with Roxy, it's not the Jesuits. You have to include the Bolsheviks, the Freemasons, the Knights Templars, the Mossad, and whatever else I left out. Freemasons, Jesuits.
Yes, and China. Ignacio de Loyola, the founder, was a Basque. And
Loyola was a Basque?
Yeah. And
that could go back to China and the mountains. The Coathanites. Hey, Roxy, let me respond to what you already said. The Coathanites may be connected to Shambhala. So the Chinese knew, and they got they already had a Basque-Chinese connection, or the mountain Basque connection there that Loyola was part of, or got in the middle of. Okay,
yes,
so what are we going to say next?
Now that I've been looking into alchemy, when I see the flag of Mexico, the eagle with the snake, or the Virgin of Guadalupe, these are all alchemical images that the Templars were using and the Jesuits were using. So one think, it's the Mexican flag, but it's actually Templar.
Mexico was started by Basque nobility.
Well, in America, all the elite was Basque because they were not mixed with the Arabs.
The Moors. They didn't mix with the Arabs, right. So Ferdinand and Isabella sent the Basques there, so they had that extra knowledge and put it in the flag, I guess.
Yes, and the Kingdom of Aragon, that was the Kingdom of Castilla y Aragon that through the Jewish and the Muslims. It's again the seat.
AR. There's your AR. Yeah.
And Aragon.
Now, is Aragon Basque territory?
It was, but then it's something else. But the word is from the Austera, from this old origin language.
And AR means stone, pillar, and root?
Origin. Yeah.
Stone and pillar. And origin. That's the meaning of AR, Aragon.
You see many Nazis.
They've got the pillar. They've got the stone in the AR of Aragon refers to the Coathanites, the originals. You getting that, Bert and Michael and Osborne?
Yep.
And Susanna? And Jean? You're all here still?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
I wonder
thank
why.
you for including me.
Well, you're just a rural. You're some guy from the country. Minnesota, one of the worst states in America.
Wisconsin, it's a red state. I just moved from Minnesota, the blue state. So.
Where are you? Where'd you move to?
Across the Mississippi River into Wisconsin.
Oh, you're in Wisconsin. Well, that's Matthew Hurtado land. That's horrible.
Much better. Oh, shit.
Get the hell out of Wisconsin. That's a cursed territory.
I'm way on the far west side, Bob, and Matthew was on the east side. So I'm way on the other side.
Are you in the trailer? That's where your trailer in the country is, in the woods.
Nope, I've actually moved into the residence I was remodeling while I was living in the old broken down trailer. So
and was the trailer in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay, so you moved to Wisconsin, the trailer, then you move into a home.
I bought a 21-acre property. That
for
includes
10 cents because the place is fucking worthless.
Well, it's a little different.
Yeah, right.
But I remodeled the living quarters of the main building, and then there's an old broken down trailer on the property, and I lived in that until I was ready to.
Right. And I just want to point out, two delinquents are Deborah, who's dealing with a grandchild apparently, and Sarah Courtney is dealing with a grandchild, and they have been absent for many months because they're fucking lost in the anthropomorphic physical.
Really big deal, Bob.
The womb is still relevant.
Yeah. Baby, I didn't have no babies.
Can you imagine somebody listening to this? Bob, he's a cult leader. He says the womb's not relevant. What the fuck's wrong with it? This is worse than Jim Jones.
Don't think linear now. Don't go linear.
Yeah. Yeah, all our children were born before we were.
Yeah.
Our grandkids knew all this before they even showed up.
Sarah and Deb's grandbaby was here way before they were. Way before.
That's right. Now, once you understand that, you can understand how Ion speaks, right? It's quite simple once you get some of the stuff and get used to it. The way Ion talks with the past presented from the future and your past, your present, you can follow it now.
Well, yeah, tonight was an extra little boost in that, changing that point of view perspective or whatever. Yeah, it was a good boost.
What was that?
I don't know, the conversation between you and Roxy, just how it all evolved.
Not with Ion.
Yeah, no, correct. It was the discussion about linearity.
Who's on first? Who's on first?
Yeah, I even had the thought,
who's
Bob,
on second? You know that joke, right? Who is the name of the guy? So the first said, who's on first?
What?
One guy says, who's on first? And the guy says, no, who is on second?
What's on
they never get past
No, exactly. No.
I don't know.
So the
the
innocent guy goes, who's on first? He says, no, who's on second? And then the guy says, no, who's on first? Well, that's what I just said, who's on second? I don't know who's on second. I want to know who's on first.
Yeah, and then it's what's the name? What's the name of the guy on first base? Second.
Yeah, what's on third?
I don't know.
But see, that's a typical Bob conversation.
Yeah, that's me.
You do that.
I do that all the time.
Constantly.
Who's they? You said three things. Which one is they referring to?
Tell me the name of the guy on third base. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the name. I don't know.
That's so you too, Bob.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's on first. No, who's on first and on second.
Who?
Yeah. Can you imagine them making that up? They must have died laughing when they did that.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was, what's the name of the guy on second base? And the guy says, yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's who's on. What? Yes. And he starts yelling, no, I'm asking you a question. He said, well, I'm answering it. Who's on first? They get really mad at each other.
It's Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. Me and Nelson did a version of that. We'd be Kissinger and Rockefeller and someone else planning a conspiracy. Okay, you blow up 911. Now you say that I did it, and then I'll say he did it, even though it was you. So we would plan, and it ended up when we acted it out like a who's on first. Okay, I will say that you did it, even though you did it, but I will pretend I did it, and I will refer to the third guy. So we acted out how Kish and them planned to cover each other's ass, but admit half of it, or 1/3 of the thing. You follow what I'm saying here?
Yeah, so who's the guy on the grassy knoll?
Yeah. Yeah, Kish would say, well, Bob was. It's like talking to Io. Bob was.
Yeah.
Who funded Bob? I think it was Rockefeller. Well, what did you do? Oh, I was over at the Martin Luther King assassination. I wasn't involved with the JFK assassination. Actually, I need Nelson to do it.
Who funded the Kennedy assassination?
You say that I funded it. This is what we're doing. Okay, you say that I funded it, even though it was you, and mix it all up. Basically, you give the truth, but mix up the names so the researchers can't figure out who did what. That was how we would act out the Secret Council 10 planning. You will find it somewhere on a CKLN broadcast done by me and Nelson. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have Nelson here to do it. I can't do it exactly. Can't remember how we did it. But you remember that, Carol? No. She doesn't remember that. No help.
Yeah,
and we thought it was quite funny.
Before I forget, you mentioned before some people say the column is based on the devil, and it's actually based on the human proportions. And
right.
Leonardo, another architect.
Fibonacci. The golden mean. Based on the golden mean, right?
So I'm going to send you a picture by Leonardo.
Well, Carolyn gets this in her medicine. Morley's group are Christians who gathered 72,000 of them, not all of them now, but a big chunk of them gathered around Morley because they were Christians who objected to the devil on the RNA drop, so they rejected Carolyn. So they went for the fake Dr. Morley. That's called the Magnesium Advocacy Group. And Ian did a rant about what a bunch of losers. He says, these people believe that if you eat a page from the Bible, you'll survive cancer. He said they literally think if you eat the paper of the Bible, you'll survive. That was
the shoe bread.
Ian's satire of those people. Yeah, they thought shoe bread was paper. You know, they're so into the Bible and taking it literally and limitedly that they're basically eating it. Is this another one over your head? I'm not getting any laughter. What's wrong with you people? That's funny. You know, I am making it funny there.
Yes, I just sent you the picture with the diagram with the proportions of humans.
Right.
So what is the golden mean?
What Roxy just sent me. So is it a link? We could post it. Let's see.
The perfect proportion that is imbued in all nature. It's
right.
You can see your finger.
Golden ratio. Golden ratio.
Your finger has
also
the golden.
Just look up golden ratio or golden mean, Susanna, and
so
they'll lay it out for you.
It's a fraction or it's a like 1 point?
Are you not near a computer? Read the fucking definition if you dare.
Just look at your body, your face, your hand, your arm, your legs. Everything is golden meme.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to look it up on Wikipedia and they'll show it to you.
Your arm.
And she sent me pictures. No link. I just got useless pictures from Roxy. I can't share them.
To put it in your face.
What?
Put them on Facebook.
Oh, they're on Facebook?
No, I'm going to post on your Facebook.
Yeah, post the link to them. But you just have to read about, if you've never heard the golden mean, you have to read it, Susanna, because that's what McLuhan, he defined the golden mean as a dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions. That's what your body is. A dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions. Your muscles, your tendons, they hold together the body with tensions. And there's proportions among them.
So is that what Ion means about the force within inside out?
No, I don't think so. Could be, but I don't get it from those words.
Okay.
It's a visual thing, visually biased system. And then the Fibonacci circle comes out of it. Fibonacci series.
Okay.
So if you have never looked at those two, it's like the basic stuff of McKelvey.
It's math. Is it math?
Dan Winter. They work from the golden mean and the Fibonacci series.
The basic stuff of nightmares.
The basic stuff of, Rai, Principality, Dupes, Prince Charles, nightmares.
So it's a mathematical equation?
Yes. It becomes that,
Well,
And, Roxy went and sat in Dan Winter workshops. She got that close to the devil. You know, we posted the dialogue about him. I made fun of him. But let me say this right. We made fun of him. We posted it on Ian and Bob, and Dan came in and just said, "Oh, you need these other two websites." He didn't acknowledge it. He just added two more websites. He just promoted himself. Blind. Yeah, what are you saying, Roxy?
That is why I say you're the completion, and I say you're the ultimate mixer, because everybody's doing their own mix, their own remix of all the information they see.
Yeah,
the Android meme.
They don't hear Ion.
They find in the Android meme, and because of the incomplete view, like many people are researching the Nazis or the alignment of the buildings and many other things, economy. But
and
they don't
do
have
every one of those things with Ion. Every one of those disciplines Ion can go into, and we've done fragments of it through the years, of every one of those angles or aspects or esoteric sciences.
Yes, your chart is like the track with all the melodies.
Yes, right. I agree. And I become the greatest DJ with Ion's help. Because there's an extra element of, like Zappa, no barriers in my choice of music. You know, McLuhan, his son or somebody reports that he'd come out of his workroom at home. He says, wait till I put this out. This'll do them in. This is what McLuhan used to say, you know, in his home. This'll fucking nail them. So, you know, he'd write some essay. Well, that's what I do Friday night. I'm going around, I find different music, like Roxy in her editing. You find Ian's guide. Like, oh, this'll fucking nail them. This song, I never heard of it before, but this is fucking fantastic. So I put it in the pile that I'm going to send to Bill.
That's what I do.
Carol does that too.
I feel a blog coming on.
Yeah, she reads the medical establishment newsletters, and then she sees, oh, they fucked up on that one.
They've exposed themselves again.
Yeah, I've got a blog coming here. I have a boyfriend, says the 90-year-old RNA victim. RNA drops victim. I have a boyfriend, Carol. Carol said, I got a baby coming.
Everybody has been trying to explain the mystery of the blood, but how do you explain that the blood is the interface that is reading
of the physical and non-physical through chromosome 14?
It's the Bob and
we had a new statement from Ion. You know what Ion said the other day? He said, Bob, he said to Carol, the other chromosomes are important, Bob, but we have not gone into that yet. We're focusing on chromosome 14, which is probably the most important. But did you hear that, Carol? We're going to get stuff on the other chromosomes eventually.
Damn.
Carolyn says she didn't hear it. She's too busy working it out with Ian. I'm a bit detached. I'm just listening, hardly able to understand them, but I can notice things because I'm not as involved as Carolyn. So Ian says the more involved you are, the less you know. The more detached visually you are, you know stuff, but you don't know how to dance. You don't know how to be involved. You just have this detached, categorical perspective. That's the literate bias.
Good one.
Good one. Another great insight that Bob has uttered 100,000 times. That finally had an audience.
So it's the new Fibonacci sequence. It's the Bob and Connie sequence.
That's right. The Baroque spirals of the trifecta. That's the new word Ian talks about in Maui. The trifecta, 3 elements, 3 events. Ian, Bob, and Carolyn. That's what goes on almost every noon hour here. So if you're feeling vibes. Yeah, if you guys are like on the East Coast around 5 o'clock in the evening, you might feel the vibe of us talking to Ian around noon hour. Noon hour.
So interesting. 3, 3, 3. It keeps coming up.
Yes. That's
the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the 3 Kings, the Christmas.
The 3 Kingdoms.
The 3 Kingdoms, Bob,
3 children,
Ion,
three illegitimate children that even Connie doesn't know about. From other worlds. You know what?
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
Oh,
that's
she
right.
knows. And vice versa.
Now, you're going to hear a great rant on the different Bobs coming up tonight. And remember, when you hear it, it's pretty funny what Ian says about how the different Bobs relate to each other.
Well, start to play them, Bob.
Yeah, you remember how occasionally I go, which Ian is this? Or which JW are you coming through? And eventually I make him say it. Well, we're talking along, and all of a sudden Ian goes, which Bob is this? And we keep talking. He goes, he stops. He says, which Bob is this? And he demands me to tell which Bob it is.
Yes, and another thing is you have the ability to go beyond these ideologies like I am Republican or
yes,
I am into LaRouche.
I don't even say I am. I go, the great I was. The great I was.
Or you could say, I am pluperfect.
Yeah, massive pluperfect. What is the full thing? Present, future. What is it? 3
Past
words.
Pluperfect.
Past pluperfect. Past pluperfect. Yeah.
Yes, how come you be into a party when you are doing parallel worlds?
Which party?
Here I am. Any political party or...
Oh, yeah, right. How can you? Yeah, you don't even take this world seriously. You come in, you fix it, give them the solution, start. This is what Santa Claus does. Santa Claus goes, starts new civilizations and moves on to other worlds. That's what originally Ian said about Santa Claus and me back in December 2010. He starts civilizations, then moves on. And I called a book I put together in 1971, A Christmas Gift to a Young Nation. That's that theme. I didn't mean it the way I meant it, but it can be fit in. I was communicating it. Like, what Iandom is a Christmas gift a Santa Claus gift to a young beginning civilization or nation. The nation of Ian Knots. Or what is it? The Knots? The people who are not. Yeah. And you know, we found out that he was saying the people are not, and he didn't tell us for a couple of years that it was spelled K-N-O-T. Everybody's going around, yeah, we're the people who are not. I don't exist. I'm not here. I just hang around with my friends. And Ian's laughing his head off for a couple of years, and everybody pretending, the little Lilliputians are pretending they know what he meant. And then eventually you find out he meant K-N-O-T, the people who are not, who are knotted, all tied up.
So what do they mean by knotted?
You'll have to ask them. You don't ask me. I don't know. I never knew. Ian's here.
Did they tell you?
Ian's world. No. I tried to get in one day, but Carolyn had more important issues, and I didn't get it. I wasn't allowed to get into it. I was like banned. Like you think Gene? It's bad to be Gene. Well, it's bad to be Bob when you're among Carolyn and Ion. I'm always fuck you. They mute me all the time.
We heard Carolyn guffawing in the background, Bob.
Yeah. What about it? You didn't hear hours ago talking about how they mute me. They start gossiping and making up slander statements about me right in front of me.
We especially wait for times when he's making the bed and he can't unmute himself.
Yeah, I can't unmute myself. I dirty my hands.
We just go after him.
You love every minute, Bob. You do. There's a Bob in you that loves every minute.
Oh yeah, I'm in charge. Casey will say, well, Bob, you made us. You're in charge. So every now and then he'll admit that I run the whole fucking thing, but I let him be the Harvey Oswald and take the shit.
Bob, Ion typed on the chat. He spelled not as N-A-U-G-H-T months ago.
Oh, that's another one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's probably, it's probably a Basque term. He was quoting Basque. He knew Larrainzar would discover it in 2 weeks, so he put it in 2 weeks ahead of time before Roxy discovered it.
You know, speaking of the media, this guy, Alan Cabal, is one of the media analysts, journalists,
pattern recognizers who stayed with Trump or he predicted Trump.
Predicted Trump, and now it's made him alive.
Yeah, he's healthier. He said, "Fuck, I might not be sick anymore. I'm going to go to Finland." He has an audience in Finland. I'm going to take acid. He was a big acid in the 50s, but he's feeling validated in his latest column.
He listened to Bob, and
he didn't listen to me.
No, we talked about Trump. He must have listened.
No, I don't. It's a good point that he could have. We were sending him stuff back then.
Yep.
It was October 23rd, that column, 2015, where he said Trump will be the white knight for the working class. He said that.
Right. Yeah, I just went to your Facebook page, and there it is.
This guy.
Are you going to read it out today?
No, Roxy can't stand it. Roxy rules. We can't upset Roxy.
Then I'll read it out.
No, let's not bring it up. It's a good column. Maybe you might change your attitude. He's a little more positive now, Roxy. He's a little more positive now. He's not so bummed out as he was last year.
He's taking the drops, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, he does say he's very excited about 2017. He was all depressed. He was very suicidal a year ago. Now he's saying this 2017 is going to be a great year.
It's a bright, shiny new day, and anything can happen.
Yeah.
You can be anybody you want to be in 2017. Choose wisely. Happy New Year. I mean, this is not a suicidal guy.
Yeah, he's changed.
That's Alan Cabal. We started reading Alan Cabal because of that hilarious article. He wrote a story about the laptops and phones turning against everybody. Remember, he walked into a coffee shop.
They started going off in the restaurant. Right.
Yes, and we've been waiting ever since for an article that good, but Alan's changed.
That's a good. He never answered my emails where I'd send him our weekly talks about him. But you might have a good point there, Karen. He may have listened to one of them. And he's sneaky. He would listen and not acknowledge me because remember he interviewed me and then he didn't publish it back in.
Your name. He says, barring a wave of suicides and single car accidents, a tsunami of tell-all books about the Hillary Clinton campaign should hit the shelves by spring. Every excruciating detail of working for a brain-damaged, alcoholic, closet lesbian psychopath will be revealed. Her vicious temper and open contempt for her staff will become the stuff of political legend. By November, it'll be hard to find anyone willing to admit that they voted for her. That's what's going to swamp that swamp.
That's a great line. No one by next year, no one will admit that they voted for the one who won the popular vote.
Yeah.
I was waiting for 2017 predictions.
Yeah, well, Alan jumped the gun. He laid it out.
Good one.
He's always covering the Bob Marshall themes. He's always saying Trump should reopen the Kennedy investigation, reopen 911, all that stuff that the conspiracy Alex Jones world wants. He includes that. Then he has some weird stuff about stop Israel. He can sound anti-Semitic, and he also is saying the white race is going to rise up. So he can sound like a alt-right white neo-Nazi. But he has a lot of other stuff. If you read him closely, he's humorous. He doesn't mean he's that. He says that is an effect that'll happen, but he's not including himself. Remember, he was a male prostitute. He's a long-time bisexual swinger from New York in the 70s and 80s who studied Aleister Crowley.
He was going the way of our former distributor.
He was going that way? Well, what's that? You mean, Matthew Hurtado brags that he fucked more Ionettes than anybody else. Is that what you mean?
Oh, no, kid.
Well, he used to be a porn stripper.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He worked in clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what Alan Cabal did. A very negative guy. I agree with Roxy. He's negative, but I'm not affected. I'm ascended. I'm completed. I'm triumphed, so I don't get lost in the silliness of people. I can enjoy them. Roxy needs to develop a little more detachment.
No, it's something that is in my genes.
That's right. Yeah, you're aristocratic Basque, Coathnite, fucked up Coathnite. It became a Medianite. Boy, you fucked up there. Maybe that's why Ion is saying you're becoming the husband of Moses. You're becoming a Coathnite.
Yes, the Midianites are related to the Canaanites.
Oh, is that right? And that's Canada. You're just a Canadian. The Canaanites is all. That's what Garrett used to say. Garrett, that was my first weird Bible thing I heard from Garrett. He said, well, Canaan refers to Canada, Bob. That's what he said 40 years ago. You're a closet Canadian, which is not a healthy country to be, Rox. You got to watch that.
Yes, but yes, all these groups have been working on their own agendas, fighting each other and trying to align their own buildings and do these things, and then Ion comes and it's going to change the whole
thing. And this was the battle acted out this was the battle acted out in the Android meme between the sub-geniuses and the sub-denies. We acted out the Intelligence Society of Cartoons. And Bob won with Ion, which is actually a replay of their J.R. Bob Dobbs, and Ion says, is pining away. He's basically almost dead. He lost. The sub-genies beat the sub-genies.
And I'm not sure, but Ion said the RH negative is going to disappear. So maybe all groups...
The RH factor.
That I said will have the same blood, so there is no more problem.
Right. No, that's true. But look at the great metaphor. Stang predicts the sub-denies and Ion with the J.R. Bob's image, J.R. Bob Dobbs, which looks exactly like my father, and he predicts that. It shows up, and the guy he hates, J.R. Bob Dobbs' son, leads the thing that creates the J.R. Bob Dobbs, which Stan can't see, and he thinks I stole their stuff. That's what Ion says. They think I stole all their material. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't even make it. Dave Neufeld and Nelson made it. I didn't do it. And but it's the image that they put on their book cover in 1983 that Sue Bone saw and told me about. I had heard of them before that because I met them, but I didn't know about the book. And that book has a picture of Ion. And so the sub-denies, who was hated in that period, win with the image that they created or projected. It's very intertwined, like Shem and Sean and Finnegan's Wake. It's like twin brothers.
So it had a picture of Ion?
Okay. Oh, I took the...
We're actually not at one level. A picture of me, which disguises my father.
Yes, but they don't understand that actually the non-physical is cultivating in all pop culture, cal culture.
Right.
They're putting all these things in the news, in TV, and songs.
Yeah.
So they may think it's their own creation, but it's not.
That's right. And because they're Western individualist artists, they must be the originators. They don't get that language was invented by everybody and contributed to. That's the greatest art form, language. But listen to this, Susie. Go to Dobbstown.com, small front page, go to the bottom, and look at the flipping image between the J.R. Bob Dobbs pipe-smoking guy and my father's image. They flip back and forth. They're spitting image of each other. Yes, Gary.
And again,
Connie.
I think that was the aspiration of Frank Zappa when he was trying to do this opera Dio Fa. He was trying to say everything in one piece.
That's right, but listen to this.
Art.
When we were at his home, October 21st, 22nd, 1988, there on the coffee table was the Book of the Subgenius. And we didn't talk much about it, but he was writing his autobiography, and it came out in the spring of '89, 6 months later, and he has a section which made Stan go into ecstasy. He says, if I ever adopted a religion, I would adopt the church subgenius about the pipe smoking guy. He makes it just a quick surface description, but he says he'd be a subgenius. He would join that church. Stang went into, ejaculatory heaven when that was said by Zappa.
Okay, I had a thought about the RH factor, and I haven't asked Ion this, but we should ask him. Was the RH factor put in place to protect the blood at a certain point? When Little Man came along, did the royalty develop RH factor so that they wouldn't mingle with Little Man? And that meant they took on a fallen position themselves.
I think it's right to say the RH factor has a service, not just a disservice. For the fallen situation, it had to be the compromise or something.
Right. Yeah, so that would be interesting to explore, because then we can understand why the RH factor can disappear, because we'll all be ascended and we won't have to protect ourselves.
Won't be necessary.
When Herbert W. Armstrong reincarnates, that's when we ascend.
Not in my world.
That's for the CIA guys who are recording us and trying to say they're actually starting to believe us. We don't want the subgenies to believe us, so we act like a nut for a minute and bring in super stuff, which John does all the time. Yeah, we're celebrating Herbert W. Armstrong. Plain Truth magazine.
Mental
hell yes, if we're
instability.
Aryans, we don't want to tell anybody.
Yeah.
And
Alex is on our case. Alex Jones is monitoring us. I can't wait till he starts talking about Connie Dobbs bringing in this ridiculous idea that magnesium is the cure-all for everything. That's when that's an Illuminati.
But here's another thing that came up, Bob. And Roxy, AR is the symbol for argon, the chemical element.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And it's Ra backwards, Egypt, which is Rai.
Oh, man.
You got Rai right in your name, Illuminati bitch.
They think of La and Ra.
Ra. Ra, ra, ra.
Ra.
See, that's the original. Arg.
Arg.
No, listen to this. The original priest revs up the spirit of the crowd, the social mortar victims. He's a cheerleader. He says, we can do it. We can make it. We just have to stay together. We just have to all get along. He rah-rah-rahs. He cheerleads the group dynamic as if it's going to help people. That's the original hypnotism, the original inspiration, which causes breathing, which then increases oxygen, and then then the RH comes in, and then you're fucked for 4,000 years.
So argon flipped. Argon flipped into Ra.
The Ra in the
Sun Ra.
language of heaven, that is the...
Isn't the RH the angel aspect of the blood?
Michael, you have to get in line. Roxy's holding the mic.
Just something. So the Ra
Roxy, what is your microphone?
Ra means expansion. That's why you have mantra, tantra, many words with the
mantra
Ra
and tantra. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Mantra, chantra, and tantra. And expansion is the inspiration. That's, you tell people, you're fucked up, you need to do this to get somewheres where you'll be better. That's the first Rai principality dupeness.
Now, extra.
Extra, yeah, EXT. Yeah, extra.
Extra.
Yeah, something extra. Yeah, that's good.
Michael, step up to the plate.
Yeah, Mike, you can turn your microphone on.
I'm sure I heard a recording this week, Bob, on Radio Free Iron, in which there was a session, and Iron was talking to someone about the RH in the blood and saying it was being removed, and I'm sure the question was asked why there, and Ion said that it's the angel part of the blood, the angelic aspect of the blood that's got to be bred out, so the blood can be pure.
And remember,
again.
Right.
Angels are made of argon.
No, but angels are there for fallen man.
Yeah.
That's a fallen, argon is a fucked up Rai substance that the angels within the social mortar Rai fallen state are of that. They're not necessary, and they know I'm onto them. They're trying to set up an assassination of me constantly.
So what else was said, Michael?
No, that's all I recall from that, Carolyn. That the RH was reading out the angelic tainting of the human blood.
You say breathing out?
Yeah, to get rid of the RH is to get that out of the blood. That's what I understood.
To get the angel. Now that makes it really metaphorical. That means angel is gas, is RI is oxygen. It all becomes Finneganese. The fallen state has different manifestations on the angel level, on the chemistry level, the hypothalamus level. All the fragmented aspects are all the same meaning.
Yeah, and I think it was in that same session, Carolyn, in that same session where they were talking about when Jesus went into the desert for 40 days and all of that, or was it in this Payday? I'm not sure. In which that aspect of Jesus' experience was the angelic part of his blood, that he was able to do the 40 days fast and all of that. That was related to the RH, to the angelic part of Jesus. Oh
yeah, he was seraphim. He was Nephilim. Jesus, the third Jesus had angel blood in him.
Yeah, his mother was naughty.
And isn't that the flood? Was the purpose of the flood was to get rid of the Nephilim?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
From the earth?
And you'll hear Ion in what I say, or he said it, but in what I play, he'll talk about, well, that's before the Garden of Eden. We don't hear that talked about too much. Before the Garden of Eden. That'd be the Nephilim thing, or I'm not sure, but we'll listen for that.
And you played it, and you played a recording last week about the three Adams.
The three Adams? What's that?
Adams.
Adam and Eve. I thought you meant ATOM. Yeah.
No, Adam and Eve.
I don't remember that. I don't remember the details. I didn't go back and listen.
There was the first Adam was before the flood, and that the Nephilim and the people were around, and they were all commingling, and then the flood got rid of them all, and then there was another Adam after the flood, and then that was married to Lilith.
I remember now.
And then the third
but
Adam,
Susanna,
Eve.
I didn't get into it, but it's a bit confusing. I can't tell whether there's two Adams or three. Ion botches it.
It wasn't clear.
It wasn't clear where the third one was. He fucked up. He was lazy, and I just dropped it. Yeah, you have to re-ask it. Are there two Adams or three?
And does the flood have to do with the change in oxygen and the water and the heavy water coming?
Yeah.
That's all neat stuff. Bob, make a note.
What is that?
About does the flood involve our discussion about water and how the environment's changing, water's now heavy, oxygen is disappearing. See, oxygen is disappearing, and hydrogen and argon are going to be more important. So why are we going to find argon being more important if the angels are disappearing and they being argon is disappearing? So is the argon from the angels coming to humans now?
Right, and we'll bring you back.
See, so many questions.
Yeah, we're reabsorbing it. Remember, hold it, I gotta respond to Carol. Cosmic Awareness said that air, fire, and water will drop off and you'll have new being Akasha. So the age of Pisces in the Christian era drops off. It's water. It's emotion. It's the limitedness. So what you were asking, I didn't get, what am I supposed to ask? The role of water?
Yeah, the role of water and argon and flood and the heavy water and
flood.
Angels and argon, and like you said, is the argon passing to humans now where it should have been all along?
Right, reabsorbed.
Yay! Wow.
And but I do distinctly recall that Ion said that they were saying that angels were the most closely like argon, but that we don't know, we wouldn't recognize or know what they are, but the closest thing is argon. So they're not actually argon.
Yeah.
But I heard today, I am saying, they're argon. So Dunno.
Right, and then you get into Ion saying, Bob, you have no idea what we are, what chemistry is.
Yeah.
And and Bert got into that, the chemistry of non-physical. I have to listen to that. I didn't take it all in. What was said, Bert?
Yeah. Well, he kind of drove me off the point. I wanted to push it because in ring 12 of the angel diagram is where all the impossible motions are, and he said that there's a unique formula for ring 12, which involves the non-physical. But non-physical is changing because Ion's moving into the physical, but the non-physical is changing into a new formula.
Right. That was tremendous. That's new. Everybody should memorize that section, wherever it was. Get Bart to transcribe it.
But he also admitted that the elements in the non-physical are elements that aren't on the current periodic table.
Right. They are what the scientists can't see, like the eye cell. And I triggered that, didn't I, Bert? Accidentally.
Yes, you did.
Said
yes,
something.
You did.
Yes. Did I say, you people should listen to Bert? Bert, even though it's a bunch of ridiculous shit, you've got to listen because you don't know when the fucking breakthrough's going to happen. And the breakthrough did happen.
Hey, but I remember the RH factor. Ion said that the RH factor is being removed from our blood so that we won't be under control of the Nephilim, so that we will be able to control the angels, which makes sense if the argon is increasing in the air, that we will be able to speak and they respond.
Right. We're having a good conversation.
Has there been
here,
any discussion about nitrogen?
2016.
Yes.
Yeah, nitrogen in there. Yep, it's plenty.
Well, it's prevalent now. I'm wondering, I don't remember any discussion with Ion about nitrogen.
I might get to tell you, I don't know if it's authorized, but I went through how radically changed the periodic table is going to become. So they're all going to be shifted around and altered.
Yeah.
Remember that, Carol? Is that secret stuff? I can't remember.
No, I think it's okay, and there'll be a lot more isotopes, and then certain isotopes will become stable, and when an isotope becomes stable, then it becomes a new element. I imagine.
Decaying is aging. The fall man, we are correcting the decaying of the half-life of the isotope.
Yeah, because the half-life implies time. We just talked about that today. And if there's no time, then there's no half-life, and these things,
and matter becomes metaphorical. The isotope
and if oxidation is decreasing.
Listen to this, Gene. I'm about to tell you something amazing. And you go on about your fucking stupid idea. Now listen to this. You have to know when the good ones are going to be said. The misplaced concreteness of matter, which gets solidified by human little man into a fucking solid object from a distance, that is what, Carol? That is, you fucked me out. What's the punchline? Is what? Is, what were we just talking about? Just say the word. It was what?
Isotopes will become...
So the decaying of matter is a fucking metaphor for your aging. You see, the matter is a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. We made it up. We made it up. We made that up too, Bob. Jeez.
Yeah, you make meaning. You make patterns of limitation.
Metaphor our littleness.
Yeah. So matter is a metaphor.
So what we believe becomes physical.
He's on third, right? Well, I never met one. He's on third. I only got the first.
There's a new trend in Germany. People are injecting their own plasma on their faces instead of Botox to look younger.
Damn. The transients put stuff on their faces? You're talking about the ISIS people?
It's a new trend. Instead of Botox, people inject their own plasma on their wrinkles.
What is the word bottles?
A new trend instead of Botox.
Oh, Botox. Okay. Is they're doing their own plasma? Blood plasma?
Yeah, they inject blood. And they
there's the perversion.
Rejuvenate.
If somebody picked up what I was saying, and they fucking put into misplaced concreteness. You know, that's an example. They won't take the drops. They got to make up their own crap, and they call it, you know, I'll get my own blood and inject it to them. So that's an example of what little man does.
Yes, I think it's called vampire list.
Vampire list.
Vampire list? Okay, so Bob, you just said matter was a metaphor for decay or aging. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, the isotope. The half-life is a major concept in physics.
So then, what does it mean when the heart is it's the matter of the heart?
Heart of the matter.
The heart of the matter.
Well, the heart, when Ion's talking about it, a heart relates to the chemical image of the formula that I'm supposed to complete with the C122H197O98. Until I figure out how to do it, we're all fucked.
Oh yeah, you draw it as a heart, right?
Yeah.
It's the parts in a heart shape.
Yes.
Yeah, he mentioned that today.
Yep. I still haven't got it.
I say the heart is the concrete idealization of connecting with another God. That's the first emotional connection that little man makes or gods make, and they like it so much they make it a big ideal.
But really,
it's concrete way,
it's
Bob.
the connecting of the carbons. It's connecting the carbons.
All that's for little man. Remember, our products are for little man.
No, I think the chemical formula is a solid, non-isotopic.
Right. But I qualify that our products for little man because you'll hear I play this. Ion saying that with Ion, non-physical speaking, we have moved into a new aspect of being that never happened before. Nobody ever lived in an environment with a speaking non-physical, a creating non-physical. So actually, it's an extension of mortar for a good service effect.
That makes sense.
So all that we're doing is not just for little man, it's for wellness people, for ascended people, and Ion says that. We are here to help well people, not sick people.
Okay, well, Bob, you said concrete idealization, and that sounds similar to metaphor.
Well, Carol's sitting on a table. She's made her, on a chair, she's made her reality accept gravity and fatigue and sitting on a chair for comfort. The ascended person
so we're idealizing it. We're making the ideal concrete.
Yes, it becomes, well, you make significance. You hold on to a belief and you start thinking about it a long time, and then it becomes solid. Like Zappa says, from a distance it looks like solid object that you're moving towards, but you're actually not going anywhere because you already got to the object, having already been there.
Yeah. So, okay, so if you've already been there, you can't have a half-life without having a whole life first.
Right. Right.
And if a half-life, or if that whole image is a metaphor, it's the same thing as, is there a difference between that and concrete idealization?
No. They're mirrors. They're an image that you lock into and you fucked up your Bob awareness. Bob doesn't register anything. If you start registering
so if everything's changing in the periodic table and our measurements and all that?
Something is. What?
So if everything's changing and we're going to measure everything differently and the periodic table's changing, then we're going to change our idealization. It's going to be a new metaphor.
We have no mind. Idealization comes in
or
with
no metaphor.
Writing. Yeah, you're not going to have a metaphor. That's why there's no metaphor, no ground in Finnegan's Wake. He's actually showing the ideal state within the limited medium of book. Not the ideal state, the conditions of tactility. Of an ascended person is how they would write a book. They would constantly
and Carolyn's got to come up with a new chemical formula with no ground to base it on.
Right. Right.
No problem, Carolyn. You got this. You got it.
That's Ion. That's nothing. Working with nothing. You'll hear Ion in what I play. He does a little rant on that, on how we're creating nothing for helping people. When you guys do the drops, it's a nothing aspect.
But that was how money was made, out of nothing.
Right. Well, that's visual space.
It was an idealization.
The eye, here's the principle. Among the senses, the eye is the only sense that can be abstracted away from the interplay of the other senses. It can become its own object. Yeah. And then when you extend that into writing and then into manuscript and then printing press, it becomes more solid. It's the only sense that can be abstracted from the interplay of the other senses. Until you bring electricity, which is like squaring tactility that swallows up the eye and brings the eye back into proper interplay with the rest of the senses and has not been abstracted. So thought is a I asked Ian about this.
Bob, is the visual bias that connected to thought? We think
thought
visually.
Thought when you start holding on to thought and writing down, saying, "Well, I'm an ascended person, and this is what I look like." The Doric column, the little leaf, that's me, and you're not the Doric column. Yes. You're down the bottom, and you're going to rise up to the fucking leaves at the top of the column. That's what Thor, Thor created. The guy in the Emerald Tablets. He creates a hierarchy. Thoth. Thor is the god of thunder. Now, Thoth does that to keep the little man away from himself. He doesn't want to interact with little man. He's ascended enough not to have any social interaction, so he creates a huge distraction for the little man to ignore him.
Yeah.
And that's what the famous quote in Aristotle, in Socrates is. The king, who's a parallel worlder, says to Thoth, "This writing you're making will create forgetfulness in the souls of men. This is not a good thing that you're creating." That's the warning of the king. And most of literate civilization says, well, the king's wrong, writing is great, thoughts was great, and we're glad the king didn't stop him. Now we know from Ion the monarchies know, and he was correct. He was a meat ecologist saying, don't create this writing system. It's going to create a lot of disservices. That's usually not how it's interpreted, the story.
Well,
and you'll see that story in Mediumism Massage. McLuhan used it.
Well, you can say that.
But it is really interesting how different types of currency are not possible before the medium is there.
Right.
Like printed money could not be made before the printed book, or the digital credit could not be possible before the Android.
Right. That's the service of the unfolding of the extensions of social mortar. But little man gets lost in it and becomes addicted to it. But there is a great celebration of the invention of technology, from speech to the satellite and then the internet. You get, when you're ascended, you can enjoy it. Like many times, Saint Germain is at some party in L.A. and Germain is at some bar party and she bumps into him. He's always hanging out with the people. He's enjoying social life.
Reminds me of John the Revelator.
Well, no, he's isolated. He's paranoid. He's hiding in a cave. He hasn't gotten to the Saint Germain level. And remember, he's telling a very negative, stupid story. It's only for little man, his story.
Well, yeah, but it's also a spoof. It's kind of a spoof on the Emerald Tablets in a way. You could look at, and he's writing to the churches. He's communicating.
There's the paradox. He's like an artist. He invents a new angle on the religious story, saying, "Oh, this media are going to create the printing press, which is going to make this religion go around the world and create a prison in many ways." Even though he's a little man, he has come up with some interesting aspect, an idea that becomes forceful, and the ascended people ignore it because they're not in that level. But they have now got to deal with the extension caused by Ion.
Right, yes.
And that's a pretty complex scenario, and that's where you see Joyce is trying to say all that in Phineas Wake.
Well, it's nonlinear. It's coming back to it. But that's a linear statement right there, coming back to it.
Right. And I point, and here's a nonlinear image. I posted a quote the other day in the McLuhan thing forum from McLuhan where he called it a simultaneous cultural transparency. That's what the satellite brings in. And then the Android meme replays it. We're in a world of simultaneous cultural transparency.
Damn.
Which means every culture is a Rai limited phenomenon, and no cultures have any say other than, at best, being a tourist stop.
It's all playing simultaneously.
Yeah, simultaneous transparency of culture. So what, there was another aspect about this.
I lost it. I'm in the wave now. I'm in that wave.
Right. And when you read the Nostradamus description of Ion, it's very literally precise. And it includes the dynamics of fitting its wake, as spelled out by McLuhan. That's where it gets my chart is a simultaneous cultural transparency of the 5 holy offices, or the 10 holy offices, or the 5 quadrants, permeated by the 6th quadrant of the eye cell.
Mm.
Was that a stomach growl? You guys heard that, right?
No. I'm hungry for more, Bob. I'm hungry for more.
About Zappa saying, we're only here for the money.
Yeah, we're only here for the money. We're only here for the kicks. Shits and kicks.
My SO stock, that's all.
Shits and giggles.
When Adam is expelled from paradise, he has to work.
What'd you say?
For the money.
Who's doing that?
Adam. When he fell. When he fell.
Yes, he was kicked out of the Garden of Eden. He had to work with the sweat of his brow.
Oh.
He has to earn a living.
Yes, he has to. And Zappa does a great parody of that. He talks about the woman wants to fuck a monkey, so he forces the guy to go out and get a job. He has some story like that. That was his interpretation of Adam and Eve.
Yes, and most people think they're here to make money.
Yeah.
Just in their retirement, or that's their goal.
Yes, to die comfortably. So listen to this. I started getting emails from somebody named Broderick something. I won't give his last name. So on November 11th, I think this is one of the earliest emails. It's called Bob the Slackmaster. That's the topic of this email. I don't know who this person is, or I don't remember if I am. Bob, I am not 100% clear on one thing only at this point now. I just finished watching Bob Dobbs' Revolution Sport 22, so it's probably one of Roxy's videos. I'm not even bothering to click on it to see what it is, but it has to be some video. He says, I have no question you are important to the future of humanity. I have only got to ask you if you have any deeper knowledge specific pertaining to myself prior to these emails in any form. So, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I can explain why I asked.
That you are the old scene.
The old what?
The all-seeing eye.
Right. So he says, I can explain why I ask such a question, but it's going to be very, very interesting either way. So he's saying it's interesting whether he explains the question or not. That's someone sitting on the fence, right? And then he goes, if you are unaware what the heck I'm going on about, ... well, that's more than interesting. I'm going to make your dream come true, possibly, ... I have nothing but gratitude and devoted respect of you, mate. Sounds like he's from he's from Sydney. He gives the address, Sydney, Australia. I have nothing but gratitude and devoted respect of you, mate. I've had a long and amazing ride, and since encountering yourself and the sub-genius stuff online. So does he think I'm staying? You know, does he mean the regular stuff? We don't know. In brackets, he says his whole sub-genius thing. Uh-oh, who fucked up? We have to mute somebody. We create an echo. Let's see, I gotta redo this. Who went AWOL? and decide to go have a shit while I read this shit. It's not happening. So they correct themselves. So they put themselves on speakerphone so they could hear me while they shit, fucking up the whole thing. So, so look at this. He says, I have nothing but gratitude and devoted respect of you, mate. I've had a long and amazing ride, and since encountering yourself and the subgenius stuff online, in brackets, another story in itself, almost divine intervention-like. So since all that, I've exceeded my wildest dream. So it's not a plural dream, one singular dream. I've exceeded my wildest dream. You know, most people say wildest dreams, plural. I, too, live an empathetic and virtuous lifestyle. Now, that's really misinterpreting me, right? We don't have empathy here. We're
empathetic, Bob.
This guy is seeing the wrong aspect of the dodecahedron of Bob. What the heck was this? Are we getting echo again? We're being hacked. Who's hacking us? I think it's it's Sarah, for fuck's sake. It's always little Sarah. No, it isn't. I clicked on it. It's not working. So
I wonder, it might be me. Is it me?
Bart's here. Bart is here. No, where would you be? Gene. Yeah, I want to mute you, Gene, just in case it is. Hello. You're right. It was you. Okay.
Clear again.
You what? We're
clear.
Okay, so it was Gene. So, he says, I too live an empathetic and virtuous lifestyle and strive for an altruistic noble wisdom. Now that's exactly what we don't do, right? We don't do any of that. But he thinks I do this. And he thinks he does it. He says, please get back to me if you can on the question. Please get back to me on the question. If you don't mind, I'd love to know. ... Meanwhile, I'll conjure up a method communicating so much in English. Communicating whatever he's saying in English. So he's admitting that he's not making sense. He signs it, your number one fan. Now, I've got a lot of fans who just show up here, right? Why would this guy think he's your number one fan? He obviously knows nothing about me. He's not qualified even to be considered a fan, let alone be number one, right? So, what do I say to a guy like that? So I write back, thanks for your interest, Broderick. Sure, send your question. Whatever he said he's going to send some question. Okay, so that was November 11th. So on November 13th, and I'm reading this for your entertainment, not about me or my ego. It's just very interesting in what you get. So I tell him to send his question. So he says, hey, Bob, I will be getting back to you with that question in due course. He's distracted by other issues. He's going to put it off. Because once he sends the question, I cut him off, right? He thinks. He says, it's more than I can immediately put to words. So he's got this fantastic question that he can't even put into words. Then he says, now he's going to go on about himself. I've lived a great life. He's going to
like you to marry him.
Yeah, I think so. It's a mail order bride offer? I've lived a great life, and alternate was the flavor, I guess. So he's saying he lived an alternate life was the flavor, I guess. But what I discovered along the way eventually landed me here. We heard that from the newbie today. What was her name? Who was the new person? Cha. Yeah, all her lifelong agony reading thousands of books, she landed here, and she's shocked at what she found out, right? So this guy is saying he eventually landed himself here. Then he goes, now look at this. I am Bob. Bob in quotes. So now he ups the ante. He's telling me that he's Bob and I'm not. Something like that, okay? Let's see what he says. I am Bob. Or we must be, quote, Elmus Exmegeldus. Some Latin, probably esoteric Crowley word or something. ALMAS, XEMELGAS. So we're something together. Or we must be Elmus Exmelgas. So he started to shine his knowledge in my eyes. Then he says, it's unusual, but not at the same time. My own mother and closest relatives initially thought that Subgenius and Bob were a creation of my own, and based on myself. LOL. Then he has a weird icon. So he's laughing that his parents thought that he created the Subgenius. Then he says, I've been through the world and seen the works, as yourself, I gather. Masons and spooks and mysterious makings for biblically proprioceptive parity. Nobody would put proprioceptive in unless they heard us, right? So he's sticking in an ionic idea, I'm assuming. Masons and spooks and mysterious makings for biblically proprioceptive parity and prophetic party only we could conjure. So now he's including me. We've conjured this fucking something, right? Then he says, now he's getting self-conscious, so he says, I hope my grandiloquent approach is not too self-indulgent. I want to nail this on the head before opening conversation with you. So he's trying to establish something with me that we're equal before he asks his question. I think it's only appropriate I get to the bloody point as soon as possible. He's not going to get to the point yet, but he's telling me he's going to get to the point. Then he says, talk soon. Then he says, you're a legend, my friend. The angels and the clarity coming from Ion is evident of the perfect prophecy playing out before our eyes. So it's not a bad appreciation of Ion, right? I'm a legend, my friend. Yeah. The angels and the clarity coming from Ion is evident of the perfect, but he has prefect, don't know if he means that, of the prefect prophecy playing out before our eyes. And he says, cheers, mate. And he signs it, Broad Qualia Kid, in italics, Qualia, Kid, Kidd. Broad Qualia Kid, and he gives his last name. So, that happens. I don't answer that. I hope he goes away. So, he does go away for a few weeks. So that's November 13th. So 3 weeks later or so, December 2nd, he emails me out of the blue. And it's called, no longer Bob the Slackmaster, it's called Quick Question with ION capitalized of question, right? So Quick Quest Ion. Hey Bob, it's Broad here, also known as the Qualia Kid, King, High Priest, Witch, Warrior, ... LOL. So he's saying he's known as the King High, that's Rai, right? King, High Priest, Witch, Warrior, LOL. Wink, 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 nudge, nudge. So this is a caveman trying to make contact with another caveman. He's trying to establish, social mortar here. And he's writing to a major fucking caveman who's not interested. But anyways, I'm being polite, because it could lead to something interesting. So he says, I had a covers tune, COVERSTOON recently. What does that mean? A cartoon? He covered a cartoon? He ripped off a cartoon? Who knows? He didn't bother to check his spelling, unless he means this. I had a covers tune recently with a friend. Oh, he means conversation. Oh, this is interesting. He's taking the word conversation and breaking up into covers, tune, and that's pretty smart. He's talking about social mortar as a cover-up and as a fallen state. It's a cartoon. I'll grant maybe he means that. I had a covers tune recently with a friend on an interesting topic. He is Aboriginal, capital A, and from North Top End, so that means some part of Australia. Amongst his tribe, they quietly speak of the lizard man, and one of them that communicates and can travel space and time freely. So he's talking to an Aboriginal guy about their mythology, which reminds me, I am getting messages from one of the young leaders of American Indian tribe. He's making overtures to me about his life. He's a high priest in the Indian tribe, literally an Indian guy, and he's trying to figure out what to do with Bob Knowles as leader of the tribe. He's trying to figure out how to adapt it to his social position, right, in the tribe. So now here's another guy bringing up an Aboriginal lizard man and that can travel space and time freely. My question is, have you any information or experience of this nature? And do you have any tips for a fellow subgenius warrior battling and benevolently holding up the flag of Dobbs down under? You see, he's claiming he's equal to me, but he's claiming allegiance to my mission, right? He's in Australia, holding up the flag of Dobbs. Are you all still there? Are you listening? I don't hear any laughing or anything. What's wrong?
Yeah.
You're just fascinated. You're just silent with respect.
Enthralled.
You what? Sold?
Enthralled.
You're controlled.
Enthralled.
Oh, enthralled. Okay, good. So he says, my question is, have you any information or experience of this nature, that means traveling through space and time, and do you have any tips for a fellow subgenius warrior battling and benevolently holding up the flag of Dobbs down under? So, what can I do? I can take the Thompson meaning of traveling space and time. I can take the McLuhan interpretation, the Croker, the Larouchian, the Ionian. You see, I got 5 at least approaches to that question, to the words traveling space and time. And, oh, look, I answered it. What did I say? I just say, engage on. Call in by Skype or whatever at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday evening or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard on Sunday. We're on for many hours. 602-666-6027. So I don't know if I did that in an angry peak or just said, look, you're asking me questions. Don't you fucking realize we got to deal with ion? I don't know if he even knows. No, he knows about ion, even though he's talking about the subgenus. So I tell him, look, don't ask me.
No. Time and legalities prevent me from answering you ever.
Yeah, that's Carolyn's telephone message. Time and again, just call in and talk to Ion. Stop bothering me with these questions. I gave up answering them a long time ago. I know better. So that's December 2nd. So I answer him, and he responds. He says, this is like December 8th, 6 days later. He says, I'll call in ASAP. He's always doing the ASAP, right? He's always putting it off. I'll call in as soon as possible. Time is hard to predict. Remember he was equal to me, and then he acknowledged Ion. Now he is a personal associate of Ion. Listen to this. I'll call in as soon as possible. Time is hard to predict, as Ion has me busy, man. It's got a lot of rocky roads in the physical world, as you know. Man, I'm just a warrior that's fighting for this and backing you all the way. Capital Y-O-U. I'm teaching now. There's no doubt the day is coming that you so rightly deserve, mate. The evidence, what's that mean? Do I get killed or do I get an Oscar? You know, I rightly deserve this coming day. Then he says, the evidence and experience I've had alone confirms you and your entire purpose itself. So don't worry, we are nearly there. We are nearly there. Then he has capital Utopia, U-T-O-P-I-A. Here we come, my friend. Read that again. The evidence and experience I've had alone confirms you and your entire purpose itself. So don't worry, we are nearly there. Utopia. Here we come, my friend. And he has a little smiley, a wink. So is this maybe a fucking Saint Germain writing me? You know, it's knowing, but it's silly, but it's competitive. This could be from a 418 group, okay? Yeah. So I don't answer that. But oh, wait a minute! I read it in the wrong order. 4 minutes before that came this long email. I just noticed this. What's this? Just meant there's 3 that come in on December 8th. Oh, I did it backwards. We've got to do 8:48 a.m. first. I read you the third one. So we're going to go back to the first one. Quick question. I told him to engage Ion. He said, I did approximately 2 seconds after I submitted that email. So he sent me an email. I responded by saying, call in. And he says he did. And he goes, LOL. In typical Ion fashion, I have been fully informed and then some, leading me on some great adventure of late. I'm 100% 24/7 immersed. I'll let you know if anything pops up. You need to know. I'll let you know if anything pops up you need to know. But as for now, mate, Bob bless you. Bob in quotes. Bob bless you. So he's Bob, and he's blessing me. Also, some pics on way soon of my church. And he has subgenius, of course. Kids are warming, too. No doubt you've done it, mate. This is great to be a part of. Young people are coming to Bob or to him or somebody. And no doubt you've done it, Bob. But he calls me mate. This is great to be a part of! ! Then he says, keep it up, Bob. Bob in quotes. Your pure legend status in my book, meaning you are a pure legend status in my book! ! And then wink. So he's complimenting me with reservations. It's just a joke on a certain level, right?
Wink, nudge, wink.
Yeah. Actually, I brought up the wink, nudge earlier. Now I'm reading a guy nudging, winking me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny. So he says all that. Then, an hour and 20 minutes later, he writes this. And, oh, man, is this a long one? He goes, "Hey, Bob, mate, I feel as though I'm dancing around the true topic I need to discuss." Remember, he keeps saying he's trying to get to the point. Now he's realized he's dancing around. And then he's polite. He says, "I know you're busy." No, they don't know I'm not fucking busy. I have time to read this nonsense. You know what I mean? I'm not busy. If I was busy, I wouldn't be reading. I'd be
on air for people.
Yeah, I even have time to read this and humiliate you, weeks later. So he says, "I have a true topic. I'm dancing around the true topic I need to discuss." Now, I see it's a long email, so he's going to discuss it. "I know you're busy. I know why you're so busy. And I know without doubt that the discovering journey being made is the only ticket to the salvation of the human race." In other words, he knows I'm busy saving humanity, and he's all for it, sort of, till he winks. Then he says, "Not many, I believe." Look at this. This is good. So he's been listening to Dobbstown stuff. Okay, so he's in the middle of it all. He goes, "Not many, I believe, could produce as much evidence as yourself that I am the salvation," I guess he means. "But I only have recently come possibly full circle, and the realization is so overwhelming, I need some genuine one-to-one discussion as to what it infers. And I believe the reason for this may, if deemed to be correct and true, may be the reason for all of this." So the reason we have to have a one discussion may be the key reason for everything, right? "Since inception," I think he means when he was born, "since inception, I have not missed a beat." Now, I say that. I've been in a tunnel since I was, quote, born, right? Everything's been on point every day. "Since inception, I have not missed a beat and have not once been confused or in doubt to any of your teachings. And the concept of birth or ion was not a shock to me." So he hasn't been in doubt to any of my teachings, and the concept, or birth, or ion, maybe means birth of ion, was not a shock to me. So he's claiming to understand why ion happened. Then he says, "But then McLuhan and the coincidence there on pieces of his lectures, completing some of the final pieces." So he's kind of maybe picking up what people pick up, that I'm intuiting ion back in the day, right, at CKLN. So he's trying to talk about that. Or McLuhan's intuiting it. "But then ion and the coincidence there on pieces of his lectures, completing some of the final pieces, but the most damning, which I deliberately avoided analysis until after the Dobbs Manifesto." What the fuck is the Dobbs Manifesto? I don't know. "And some of the later manouche clip arts," now he could mean subgenius stuff, "which I deliberately avoided analysis till after the Dobbs Manifesto, and some of the later manouche clip arts, MANOUSHE. So often the Church Subgenius talks about the Dobbs head as clip art. So he's mixing in Stang stuff. "Until after I deliberately avoided analysis of a damning something, until after the Dobbs Manifesto and some of the later manouche clip arts that have taken my mind and breath away." So something about somebody's clip arts have flummoxed him, and maybe in a good way. Then he goes, "But Finnegan's Wake," with capital letters, "but Finnegan's Wake, to be more to the point, was a major wake-up call." Now, guess what he's waking up to? "That I have a major part to play in assisting you or aiding you to the final destination." We've heard that a fucking 1,000 times. Right? This is someone who's going to eventually sue me. He knows.
Yeah, the more they love you, the more they hate you.
He's going through rapid changes as he processes all this stuff. So he's a month later. He probably 2 weeks later became the hacker. He got so pissed off at me.
Yeah. You never responded.
I never responded.
You're not writing him these long tracts.
Yeah, I just say call tomorrow. I do answer this, but we can't get to that yet. So he says, "But Phineas Wake, to be more to the point," so he's getting to the point, "was a major wake-up call that I have a major part to play in assisting you or aiding you to the final destination." So he is actually miming my own meme. I claim Phineas Wake was a message to me, right? I said it was about me. He's redoing it. He's lost in the meme that Ian resents that I created. He's going through the fact, yes, Phineas Wake's all about him, and that he's supposed to do something with it. And the thing from the distance looks like a solid object is me and my project that he thinks he's going to be part of. So he's going to assist me and aid me to the final destination. Now I'm getting this right around the time Ian is telling us, Carolyn, a few weeks ago, December 8th, that we have done. We're not doing it. We are done. So here's a guy, and after him he's saying, no, you're not done yet, Bob. You need me to finish it. There's really the subplot going on here. Then he says, then he says, I'm sorry, I feel myself, I'm coming off a little egocentric, even obtuse. But please realize I'm a humble observer, and you're not aware of the connection as yet, but it's beginning to flesh out on my end in recent weeks. Okay, so he's lost in the ion tapes and stuff. He's lost in the Dobbs ion vortex, and he's saving his own self-image. I have never been made aware of James Joyce prior or Finnegan's Wake. However, I have had divine-like experiences of writings and limerick, using word, text, and mix-mash of derived objects and general bits. And Bob, in quotes, and Bob type stuff to form similar pellucid, P-E-L-L-U-C-I-D, isn't that stone? To form similar pellucid rhetoric. So he's saying, I've done what you've done, Bob. I've formed pellucid rhetoric and prediction through a translucent state of consciousness. So he's trying to tell me that he's had a great vision a long time ago or something. Or it happened in a few weeks. I don't know if you get me, or I am being clear, but for some goddamn reason, this whole thing, even down to Joyce's writings and complex diagrams and stuff, is a complete spin-out, as it is a reflection of what I've been experiencing continuously and sporadically throughout my entire life. So he's going to claim he's always been doing this, right? Are you with me, people?
Yeah.
You still fascinated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he says why he calls himself a qualia warrior, Q-U-A-L-I-A. Qualia seemed to me as either a word I had coined or had some mystic experience that saw me understand and write a word that had never been explained, learnt, heard, or spoken to or by me ever before. There's something special about the word qualia. Until you came into my life and the subsequent years thereafter I have come to make sense of ion and thus the past. So he's understanding why he's the chosen one and the past that led to it, which I claim. Ian helped me understand how I came to the point of having Roxy make YouTube celebrating how I complete everybody in McLuhan and Zappa, right? That he's having the same experience. He now understands the sense of Ian in the past that leads to him and his contribution to everything. I've got a lot to discuss, but I am at a loss where best to start, and my nature is actually quite reserved. However, I'm going through too many things recently in such succession, I feel I had better express this as is possibly of use or relevance to the cause. This may be important for me, he's saying. Lastly, an extraordinary experience in Thailand that ended me up in an amazing makeshift military jail. There it is. They always get in fucking trouble with the authorities, right? These people.
You always attract these criminals, Bob.
Yeah, he got problems. Lastly, an extraordinary experience in Thailand that ended me up in an amazing makeshift military jail on the outskirts of Turn near the old airport. After a major test that begun in Pattaya, P-A-T-T-A-Y-A, and finished in a torture chamber monkey house, where the qualia manifestation and qualia resonance within insects and the mosquito became more evident. So he got tortured. And he understood the insect and the mosquito as a result of this. Then he goes, blah, blah, blah. So he realizes I wouldn't know what he's saying. So he covers his ass and, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. He goes, blah, blah, blah. So he thinks I'm pissed off at him or not interested. He goes, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. But this isn't even a portion of my story. I'm hoping to strike this isn't even a portion of my story. I'm hoping to strike a nerve, maybe, running off a bit of my story there. If you're interested in hearing my experience post-Bob and the lock I've got on its transfer into the physical, then he goes, I'm a loyal soldier, Bob. I'm happy to abide. So he qualifies. He says, Bob, I know I'm going off and saying you're irrelevant, but I'm still loyal, Bob. I'm happy to abide and wait till you realize how great I am. He doesn't say that, but that seems to be something he's saying. Then he says, this is long and ion hungry. Now, he's now calling himself Ion because he says, I am hungry. This is long and Ion hungry. So I'm diving in. Talk soon, mate. Then he has his wink. Then he has a P.S. Obviously, spooks and CIA Guido, James, Egletus, and Muirhead, Ronald Sidney, Wright and Benson. So he names a bunch of CIA, maybe Australian guys. All stuff related and a part of the journey that led me to you. Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. To you, like he's not sure if it did lead to me. Then he says, any thoughts? ... I mean, I'm renowned for luck in general. And coincidence is something I'm looking to explain before I die, as I have almost mastered how to identify it to a person unaware. So he's learning how to explain coincidence. I hope this is not too heavy or coming across as crazed fan-like correspondence. Not me, mate. I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass. He's quoting Ion, right? Not me, mate. I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass, Bob. It's something I believe you will find interestingly bizarre as I have. It's something I believe you will find interestingly bizarre as I have. So he's found it interesting. Then he goes, LOL, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Kind regards, Broderick J., and he gives his last name, also known as the Quality Kid. So what do I write back to him? I click on the arrow, and I go, look at this. I can call you sometime at your convenience. Send me your number or Skype name. Look at that. I'm even willing to fucking engage the guy.
You say that.
I say that to him. This whole screed, I'm not rejecting him. I said, look, I'll call you. I can call you sometime at your convenience. Send me your number or Skype name. So I'm interested in who this whack job is, right? Let's find out what he looks like. So later in the day, 4 minutes later, this is what, I already read this. He goes, I'll call in. So he means I don't need to call him. He'll call into Ion.
So he doesn't want to talk to you.
Right. He wants to talk to Ion. Now remember, there was a number from Australia today?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy wouldn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
There was an Australian call. I thought it was Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, are you people still with me? Two silent.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
I'll call in. Okay. I'll call in ASAP. Time is hard to predict. So this is when, he's saying he's on. Now he's saying time is hard to predict as Ion has me busy. So he doesn't need to call in and talk to Ion. He's already fucking working with Ion. Time is hard to predict as Ion has me busy, man. It's got a lot of rocky roads in the physical world, as you know, man. I'm just a warrior that's fighting for this and backing you all the way. I'm teaching now. There's no doubt the day is coming that you so rightly deserve, mate. The evidence and experience I've had alone confirms you and your entire purpose itself. So don't worry, we're nearly there, Utopia. Here we come, my friend. Smiling. I don't answer that. Now, I think I got did I get an email today? I think I'm reading this because I think I got a new one today. Let's see what it is. Oh, there's Broderick. So what's the date? December 27th. So remember the last three were December 8th. So now December 27th. It's titled, Your Efforts Have Not Been in Vain. The momentum is now unstoppable. It's now God's work. Capital G-O-D. So it's been taken out of my hands. I've been retired. It's now up to God. You've done great stuff, Bob, but the momentum I've created is now unstoppable. It's now out of your hands. So then he has a weird quoting something. Quote, for who, unquote, said Ambrose. So it's a question, I guess, Ambrose is one of the saints, I think, around time of Aquinas, St. Ambrose. For who, said Ambrose, is so callous, unfeeling, hard-hearted, and cruel that he does not want men saved from death and women from barbarous attacks worse than death. For who is not willing to rescue girls and boys or little children from the service of pagan idols, into which they have been forced under pain of death? Sounds like he's gone Christian. We have not undertaken this work without reason, and we have done it openly to proclaim that it is far better to preserve souls for the Lord than to preserve gold. And then he has the number 3 in brackets as if that has a footnote. And that is the end of Broderick. We are working for God now. And we're helping men saved from death. Now you see, there's no death. He doesn't know that. And women from barbarous attacks, we know women love to be attacked. They love the contrast, so that's not a problem. For who is not willing to rescue girls and boys and little children from the service of pagan idols? That's not going to happen, right? Into which they have been forced under pain of death. No, they don't have any deaths, so they're not forced. We have not undertaken this work without reason. We have done it openly to proclaim this. Far better to preserve souls for the Lord than to preserve gold. So that's a quote from someone maybe 1,000 years ago. So we remain to see what Broderick will say next. I am finished my story. That is my testimonial of the kinds of emails of devoted non-entities I get. Any comments from the intrusion. Gallery? Parallel world
intrusion. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
This is somebody who died and can't find the guff and is spying on us and is trying to come back, like in the TV show Stranger Things.
He's got a good cross-section of exposure to you, Bob, with the subgenius, Ion, and you, but he won't come through to talk
and
to
me.
you. That's interesting.
He's been doing his homework. We don't know how long, and he's gotten himself into a weird state where he ended up being a Christian.
Yeah.
Some kind of Lord talking. It's now God's work. Mm-hmm. So, does Gene have a comment? Let's see if I...
Gene's on mute. Didn't you mute her?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of people on mute. Sorry. Okay. So we have, who was 727? That was... Who was that? Oh, it's Leon. We got Leon. We've got Susanna, Nate or Alyssa, Bart, and Gene. Okay, so you heard all this. Anything you want to say?
It's hard to get a profile of that individual through those emails.
Yeah.
Much like you.
What'd you say? Much like me? Oh yeah, he's much like me. He does say
yeah. Can't put a finger on you, so he's got that.
And he knows not to put a finger on himself.
No, he's not like you at all. You would never write all that stuff. You just say, let's talk.
Yeah, I'd call him up.
No, that's the thing. You're saying he changed conversation to cover his tune. Well, you're giving credit where I'm not sure credit is due. You could turn somebody's language into something poetic, Bob, with whatever pattern.
Look good.
Yeah, but it seems like people, when they first encounter your material,
either Subgenius, Ion, or Dobbstown. Those three aspects they enter.
And it seems like if they're coming from Subgenius or Dobbstown territory, they will play with language sort of arbitrarily, almost like they're
compete. They will get to the competitive position that they're.
Well, no, it's almost like they're trying to speak your foreign language and they're just muttering gibberish at you, hoping you'll respond and creating some sort of a dialogue.
It's gibberish. They know it's gibberish. They say, "I'm sorry, I'm not clear. I just can't get to what I'm trying."
What's that about throwing pastry against the wall or pizza
to see if it sticks?
Yeah.
Roxy. Is there anything in the Kabbalah that comes up here, Roxy? Are we manifesting a Kabbalah archetype here? Is she even there? Did she respond? Maybe she's not there. Let me check the email. No? Nothing. She did post something on the timeline. View post.
Hello.
Oh, you put the pictures of the, you're there. You put the pictures of the golden mean up there. Anything you have to say about this, Roxy? Didn't you used to get letters like this when you put out the YouTubes before you went underground?
Yes, I think people have some expectations. They think you're like a guru or New Age or something.
Yeah. And like you couldn't take it. You got a few letters and you shut the whole fucking thing down. See, that's where you're not me. I can engage these people. I don't mind even becoming their friend, talk to them on the phone, make them feel good.
But he wants to join your cause, Bob.
Or he's an important part of it. He wants to tell me what my part is missing. I'm not aware of what he needs to contribute to it to make it complete. I need him, is what he's saying.
Right.
No, he took over and dismissed you, Bob. He took over. It's in God's hands now.
Yeah,
done,
now it's God. He's God. He says it's in God's work. That's his alibi. He took over. That's December 27th. He got in just before. Now, what if he's listening? What would he make of this guy and what I'm saying? He'd have to be puzzled by all the way I'm talking, right? I'm kind of making fun. I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of friendly. I'm kind of disgusted. You know, I got the whole range of emotions.
Further confusing the situation.
Yeah. All just innocently being reasonably polite, right?
Yeah.
It's a put on. It's a put on.
That's an all-purpose phrase, and I can be. They could. That's 1/4 of it.
Yeah, he's Bob's long-lost brother.
Yeah.
That's how all the shows end.
Now, wait a minute. I'm open-minded. This guy could be right. He might be a missing thing. That's why I'll talk to him, find out what he has to say. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll be a blinding Damascus experience.
But he's missing some major points, so I guess that's
right.
That's your territory.
But this is where I'm a great guy. I will fucking listen to the guy. You realize how you people wouldn't? You got busy lives. You delete them. You tell them to go fuck himself. You tell them to go listen to Ion. Stop bothering him.
That's how a lot of us people got in here.
Michael was nice for a couple of years, but then he threw in the towel after a while. He couldn't take it. All these disciples coming up to him, he freaked out, right, Michael?
They're modulating their Bob intake.
No, just send them to Ion.
Yeah, but before that, you went bonkers, and didn't you, go disappear for a couple of years? Didn't respond to your website?
For a long time, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, see? You dropped out. You created a movement and then left it.
But Michael was with his new girlfriend.
No, this is before. That's during Ion. He dropped out years.
No, I dropped out in 2008, Bob. I left off that.
Yeah, a year before Ion.
Yep.
Yeah, so you dropped out before Ion. You'd had it, and then people within a couple of years started to say, "Hey, you know about Ion? Is that the way they start asking you about Ion or something?" Or they were into you, and then they found Ion.
Yeah. Well, I try to send people to the RNA drops, and that just really messed them up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you took the initiative. You found out about Ion before Katie Thomas did. You sent many people to us.
Yeah, Katie came.
People. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So you found Ion on your own. You found Ion on your own.
No, what happened was I found the drops. I found the drops through Matthew, and through the drops I found you and Carolyn.
Right.
But primarily the Bob knowledge.
Right.
Then when Ion came on, it was more of the metaphysical stuff I actually wanted to get away from, is what it first appeared to me.
So you got more into the Bob. Were you listening to the CKLN stuff, or what Bob?
Yeah, I was more.
No, he was listening to Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn.
Oh, that's later. Wait a minute. That was the beginning. What part of Bob did you engage that wasn't Ion?
The McLuhan, all your media ecology was what was brand new to me. All the different bodies. Because remember, I was focusing on the chemical body through the emotions, and so when I discovered you, and technology wasn't an enemy, it was an extension. All of that changed everything. Then that killed me again, so I had to go away. And then when I came back again, Ion, I came. Then I got Ion, but Ion, that interaction with Ion really turned me on to Carolyn, and then I really started to get the Carolyn.
Okay, but let me interject here. You got into me by listening to the 9 months with James, where I talked before Iron showed up.
I watched one video by Matthew about the RNA drops, and then I ordered the RNA drops, and then I found you through that exploration. I found
but what's me?
Payday.
What did you listen to when you said
Payday?
Me? What did you listen
Payday.
to? Oh, okay. And you were focusing more on me than Ion.
Well, remember I phoned in with the Rodriguez story. That's how I first met you, Bob. I called in. I sent you some Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then I called in to chat to you about it, and then I started calling in, and then for a period of about 4 or 5 months, I just stayed with it. And then one day, I think, was it Iggy? What was his name? Iggy? Kiggy. One day, Kiggy was just going on. Yeah, Kiggy was going on, and I thought, okay, I'm done. And I just put the phone down, and then I didn't come back for a couple of years.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you didn't like Kiggy. That was a bad vibe in Iondom. And you never got into Ion. You never got into Ion?
No, I did. No, because a lot of the ionic a lot of the things Ion was saying was familiar to me through my exploration. Yeah. And so I kind of was a bit dismissive of, I was a bit dismissive of it. And I only really got Ion this time round, but I had to physically almost lose my chemical body to turn around and look at Ion. So I can see the bio die situation, yeah.
Wow.
And then,
when did you get into Carolyn? 5 years ago? Did you get into Carolyn before Kiggy?
Oh yeah, I was aware of it, and I was using the products in that. But it was only in this recent coming back that I really got the necessity for the completement formulas, and really took that aspect of it seriously, and started really listening to Carolyn's shows and realizing that was a big missing link to me. And when that came in place, the whole ionic or the whole perception of Ion shifted dramatically, from increasing the RNA drops, taking all the formulas, and for me it enabled me to lubricate it in such a way that I could comprehend what I couldn't comprehend before, and then I just sort of got it, and that's it. I see it.
Then you started participating. So,
yes.
Why are we what were we talking about before we got into you and your history? I can't remember why we did.
I have no idea, Bob.
How people would email to him and how he had to go away because he couldn't handle it.
No.
Oh, yes, I was
also
claiming that Michael wasn't good like me. We were celebrating me and my ability to put up with people for 30 fucking years.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm still taking responsibility for what I said in October 1984 when I came on and demanded everybody to vote for me to become King of Canada. That was October 1st, 1984. And then I wasn't on for 3 years, and then I come on June 17th, 1987. I'm still taking responsibility for what I said in those first shows. People come in and respond, I deal with that. And then eventually they find out, well, we're beyond what you think I'm doing, you know. But I take responsibility for people being impressed with what I've done or finding it challenging or interesting. I took responsibility for Michael.
Are you going to go past midnight, Bob?
Oh, yeah, we're going on probably all night, probably. I got all to play all this good stuff.
Oh, right.
Oh, fuck, it's New Year's in 2 minutes, but we don't pay attention to that, right? Fuck that shit. But
I wonder if they're going to have fireworks.
Well, remember we heard a few hours ago, probably at 9 o'clock.
Oh, that was just neighbors.
Neighbors. Okay, so what were we just saying? Taking responsibility. What did we just say? Doing this. Taking responsibility for my meme, and then Michael, I want to say Michael, he fucked up, he ran away from his clientele, and then he came back, and now he's in Ion. He realizes he has a lot to learn, and he's embarrassed of his books, and nothing ever, he doesn't get identified with them.
So you're trying to see if you can push Michael away again?
No.
Uh-huh.
So Michael, you wrote your book about...
Good luck.
Good luck with that, Bob.
Yeah, he did that.
Now that Michael's into Carolyn.
Yeah.
Talk to the girl.
Yeah.
Who needs
he's just
you?
like this guy, Brian.
Yeah,
he started me up and then gets to Carolyn. Talk to Bob. Yeah, talk about. Oh, yeah, talk to Carolyn. Maybe I am. But listen, to this, Mike. You wrote the book about us in the jungle and all that under Bob influence, not Ion influence.
Yes.
Like 5 years ago.
There is ionic influence in there, but it was through Bob's words that I was tapping into that.
You were putting me on the pedestal more than Ion.
Yeah.
And Carolyn.
And I probably
a little bit of Carolyn. Right. You should. That's